Since we've got a few minutes here, it's being sent to a third party. Got it. Okay. Do you have a sense of like, are you going to be running the show? How do you want us to, yeah, handle the kind of all of this?
Yeah. So this might be part of the broadcast, but essentially I'm going to run through the first few slides and just go over the stats.
Okay.
One watching now, it's probably me, Zoom, YouTube broadcast. It's weird that it's private.
Yeah. Did I thought we had conviction voting winning something. Are we still streaming?
Oop, let me stop the stream real quick.
Yeah, okay, good. Never mind. I saw it. I saw this. Okay, good.
Is the link not working, Annie?
I'm just making sure that this is not just a private stream. Let's see. Let me stop the stream real quick.
Yeah, okay.
Good.
Never mind. I saw it. Okay,
sweet. And then does that link work for? I'm gonna drop this in the chat. Oh wait,
is the link not working, Annie?
It is. I'm just making sure that it's not. It's repeating for me. That's why. All right, let me drop this in the chat real quick and make sure.
By the way, is my voice okay? Like, should I put in headphones, or is the sound?
I think you're good.
Decent?
Yeah, you're fine. It was just echoing off of my my thing. I'm gonna drop this in the chat. Make sure that you guys can this is a public link for you guys. It looks like it is for me. Oh, cool. 3 watching. Sick. All right, give me 1 second. We got 2 more minutes, and then I'm gonna go ahead and tweet out this link. Honestly, this is my first time doing this by myself, you guys. So.
Oh, good. We're doing great.
Are we live, baby?
Whoop whoop. I've got one of those whatchamacallit, like distraction things on. Distraction blockers, whatever you call it.
Cool. Oh, Giannis, are you in the chat? Amazing.
Right, that's right.
I'm here. Sorry, guys. I saw the thing about 15 minutes, like 2 minutes ago.
Well, everyone was here before me, so that worked out great. All right, cool. And then Jonas, yes, I will need you to monitor the chat. And it is officially 8 a.m. Let me get this slideshow on my other desktop.
Okay. All good on
cool. All right. We are on, and it sounds like everything is working. It looks like everything is working. So we are going to begin right now because I've got a flight after this. So
That's awesome, Andy.
I really do. But welcome everyone. My name is Annalisa. I am with the Bittlebox team. joined here with Jonas, also part of the Biddlebox team, and I will let the rest of y'all handle intros. And thank you for everyone for joining us on the live stream. I'll start with you, Zach.
Cool. Hey, everybody. I'm so excited you're here. It was so much fun to judge all of the projects and to be part of the hackathon. My name is Zach. I'm the engineering lead for the Allo protocol team inside of GitHub. And I'm assuming I'm going to hand it off to Disruption Joe to introduce himself.
Yeah, hey everybody, I'm Disruption Joe on the Twitters, but just Joe if you see me in real life. And I started Plurality Labs after being at Gitcoin for a few years. And we are a program provider allocating funds to multiple different types of grant programs and other ways of funding, whatever work needs to be done in the Arbitrum ecosystem. And we funded this hackathon to, enable a lot more ways for any of the 500 plus protocols that are building in Arbitrum to fund what matters to them. I will pass.
I think we take it back to
this is
Annie.
Oh, no, yeah, take it out.
hey, this is 08. And I've put on my Arbitrum blue outfit for the hackathon. Like, excited to be here. I'm a kind of a PG region maxi, but my purpose here is to judge the hackathon, and I'm working with Joe via his milestone 1, which has the goal of creating a grants framework for Arbitrum DAO, and I'm managing some of the programs for them. Happy to pass it around.
Cool. And then Jonas, I know I gave you a brief intro as always, but I will go ahead and let the folks hear from you yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jonas. I'm part of the Biddlebox team. I've been trying to get as many participants into the hackathon as possible, and I think I've engaged with a lot of you builders out there. And I want to congratulate everyone that's part of the stream, as well as everyone that's hopefully going to present some winners after this. And yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm also embodying the chat. So if there's any questions, head over to the YouTube chat and ask any questions. I'll be hanging out.
Yeah. And just as a heads up for y'all, there is going to be a slight lag. So, or from Zoom to YouTube, from what I remember when we've done this before, but it's going to work out. But anyways, that being said, well, we're going to be congratulating participants today, but, or congratulating winners, but I do want to give a huge shout out to all the participants for joining us and for building amazing projects in this hackathon. I know that the judges, I think there's about 9 judges with all hands on deck that spent a lot of time taking every single project into consideration, and that did not go unnoticed. So shout out to y'all that are joining us. If you're on the West Coast, it is early 8 a.m. morning. And let's move on. So just in review, I want to share a little bit about the hackathon. So the goal of this hackathon was to empower builders to build the future allocation mechanisms, UIs, and the next data structures and tools that can propel the grants funding initiatives in the Arbitrum ecosystem forward. And just in review, this hackathon ran for approximately 4 weeks, kicking off on December the 8th and closing on January the 10th. The judging period, we took a little bit of extra time from what was intended, but lasted approximately 9 days. And as I mentioned, we had about 9 judges with all hands on deck. And as a result, we had over 300 builders that were registered. There were 40,000 ARB in prizes over 3 challenges, and 102 projects were created. And I believe about there were 78 submissions across all 3 challenges and 46 unique projects. So in review, we had 3 challenges. We're going to be going in backwards order for this one, but the best novel funding distribution tool, that was 20,000 ARB. We had best use of project registry and best review and evaluation tool. We're going to take a pause before each challenge, and I will have either of y'all. I would love to hear from you guys about what the challenge entailed, and I believe the judging criteria was essentially the same, but I would love to hear your guys' experience about how it was judging each of these challenges before we announce the winners, because we got to leave everyone with a cliffhanger. And that being said, we're going to be starting with the best review and evaluation tool. I can dish it over to Disruption Joe, 08, or Zach to tell us a little bit about that challenge.
Yeah, I think 08's the best one to talk about the reviews, because 08 started with me at the fraud detection workstream in Gitcoin. He'd been contributing to DAOs before that, and the opportunity that we had available was we needed people from the community to review grants. And he could definitely tell us about that, because as the budget shrunk a bit for that work stream, and they decided they didn't want so much community reviewing, and they were like, yeah, just have one person do it, hire them and have them do it. And Zurich got settled with, I think it was round 14. He did 1,000 reviews in 2 weeks. And he caught everything. So he's got an amazing eye for this after doing it many times. But, yeah, Zurich, what kind of tools would have made life easier back then?
Even like automatically adding them to a database, because we although I think we did have that because they were fetched from the backend, but yeah, back then we actually had a 3-tier system, so we, depending on the level of trust that people had within Gitcoin, so we had like a community, the really open community role. We had like the level 2 tier was like people that gained more trust and had more experience doing reviews, like in Gitcoin or other DAOs, or like they just had the talent and skills. And tier 3 was like basically me and the FDD team who like reviewed the reviews to make sure that they're all good. So speaking backwards, like I don't know what would have helped back then, but because like I was just too like busy and stressed out to even think about that. Like I was only focused on catching people that were trying to extract. But I think that any review tool is a big step in that direction. So I'm kind of really excited about the results, and to see that some people really allocated that much time and thought to these like tools and things. So yeah.
Amazing. All right, well, hope everyone's ready for the results. We're going to be starting with third place winner, and I kind of want to just pull it, or Jonas, I'm going to also drop these links in the YouTube chat, but third place goes to Builder, and I want to hear from y'all. What was it about Builder that made this project qualified, or what did you guys like about this one?
I can jump in here as you know, former co-founder of Cabin. I always love real estate projects, crypto and real estate projects, and so I was really impressed by that. And then 2, I think Joe and I'll let Joe speak to this too, is like Joe and I were really impressed by some of the back-end functionality that this team was able to build around reviewing, which is why we threw it in here. Joe, you had some interesting thoughts on that one. Do you want to share those?
Yeah, for me, I was thinking about this, that, they applied it in the allocation strategies and this review. And what I thought was cool about this was it was a really slick, like, UI for like reviewers to review milestones and then send a payment like in one, right? And that's what you hope for like an on-chain solution, is that like you get in there, go ahead, look at what they did. If you like the work they did, you send the payment, right? And it's just like pretty straightforward and easy. And the milestone reviews, it's not even like, the funny thing about it is like this one, the use case was novel, so it made it really interesting, like the way they did this real estate thing. But we don't have a very simple, slick UI for doing milestone reviews and payouts like this yet on Allo. So like the thing that got me was it was like a useful tool, right? And that part of it wasn't that novel. The use case they presented it in was novel and interesting and made it fun, but the actual thing was just a needed tool. Good UI, yeah.
Amazing. And I dropped the link to Builder in the YouTube chat as well, but that I know I see some people asking like, who's a solo builder? But that was a team of 3. So congratulations to 3 of y'all. And with that being said, we are going to announce the second place winner. And that goes to Alo Explorer. So congratulations to Alo Explorer. Woohoo!
Yeah, go team.
Yeah. And I'll just read the short description, just I guess for accessibility. But Alo Explorer is used to monitor the flow of pool funds. You can easily see how the fund is distributed and how the application is requesting funds from the pool. So I'll dish it to y'all to tell me a little bit more about that project and what you enjoyed about it.
I can start. This one I liked a lot myself. It kind of reminded me of the Allo scan that we threw together, like as an example to kind of give you an at a glance view of the Allo protocol and what's going on in it. And I love these kind of bubble maps and this visualization. And just this is like what I imagine Allo scan kind of looking like later if anybody ever did something with it. So yeah, +1 to the UI. It's simple. I like that at a glance, and yeah.
Hell yeah, I totally agree on the visuals. Like, you know, this stuff that happens like on chain and so forth. You know, we're always talking about like, you know, like the tech people are talking about, oh, the blockchain is this like transactional database, and we have to get it to an analytic format to actually do analysis. And a lot of people don't know that. They're like, the data's all there, you can just get it. I'm like, well, that's not accessible to like 90% of even tech people, like unless they like do some homework. So this makes it actually available to like a regular person can just look at that and understand what happened.
Yeah, for sure. Because Allo is kind of complex to begin with. So when you start reading the data from it, it's nice to be able to have some like direction of like, okay, this is how you put the data together. Actually, like you said, get some analytic feedback from it.
Absolutely. I think the visuals really got me too when I was going through these projects.
I love it.
Okay, well, and then now onto the first place for, we're on best review and evaluation tool, right? Yes, we are. All right. So the first place is going to go to AGDM. So Arbitrum GRS Defense Manager. Congratulations. That is a prize winner of 5,000 ARB. So tell me about this one, y'all.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep. So this one, you know, having led the fraud detection workstream for a couple of years, you know, I remember it was Grants Round 7, we integrated ZK Sync, and that's when like the civil attacks really started. And you know, we hired Block Science to like take a look into it and figure out how we might be able to do something. And we found out it was like something that we could mitigate, kind of like retail theft, but we can't solve it, right? There's diminishing returns at some point. And when it comes to mitigating it, there's, you know, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But once the piping is laid down, like it's pretty easy to do it. And what this dashboard does is it takes a lot of individual discrete risk flags and analysis types, and it combines them to like a visualization that somebody can use to do the basic exploratory analysis to understand if their round is being attacked. So it's, you know, a super time saver, and there's probably a lot of people doing this work in parallel. And to have something open source out there available for any round owner is just a great tool to have.
Yeah, I think the thing that tipped this one over the edge for me was not just the amazing visualization and the style and all of that, but exactly what you're talking about there is like that extra layer to it.
It can also be seen as a cost saver for small rounds, because like you usually have to pay for some Sybil screening if you don't know how to look at that stuff yourself. So this is really, that's another plus for ADGM. Plus, it has a lot of cool metrics.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's something that's pretty new. We haven't seen that now that the protocol is out there and like anybody can run around. It took like 6 months before we started seeing it, but you know, we had 300K ARB up for anybody who wants to run around could apply for us to up to doubling their matching pool with ARB. All they had to do was run their round on Arbitrum. And even in Grants Round 19 back in November, you know, there was like 4 or 5 rounds, I think, 0-8. But yeah, now there's like what, like 20, 30 rounds of like 5K or less that people are trying to get going.
Yeah, exactly. And all of them, a lot of new round managers, like they don't even, I don't know, sometimes I feel they don't even know they have to do a Sybil screening at the end. So this is most def like a great solution for all of them. Like you just DM them the link and they can check it out. So it's really cool.
Yeah, plus one to that, like as an engineer building a lot of stuff, this kind of goes overlooked, like the whole Sybil. Like I miss having the FDD and Joe around because it's like the stuff we didn't really have to think about it. So it's nice to see other people are thinking about it and building stuff to assess.
And well, according to the project page, that looks like that was a solo builder. So congratulations to Harsh 8196. Hopefully you are in the chat and you're joining us. Otherwise, by the way, all the winners will be notified via email after this call, and we'll follow up from there. But with that being said, congratulations to everyone, all of those winners for that category. And up next, we've got best use of the project registry. So I'd love to hear from y'all about a little bit more information about this challenge and why it was important to the Arbitrum ecosystem before we go to the winners.
Yeah, why don't I kick things off? So I think the project registry, when we were designing and building Allo, then going back even like a year ago when Gitcoin was first starting to think about Allo, we had this whole concept of the project registry, which originally was called like project protocol. And we were thinking about these as 2 separate protocols, and ultimately it made sense to keep them tied together as one. But we always saw this huge opportunity for public goods funding in the project registry, and still very much do. If you think about just the potential of this like universal on-chain registry of public goods projects across all the different ecosystems and the kinds of things that become possible there, it starts to get really cool really quickly. Things like common apps are one thing that has been sort of in the ether and on crypto Twitter as a grantee, as someone managing a project, being able to apply to different grants programs using something kind of like a common app. But there's all these just like spaces that open up with more and more projects on board onto the registry around things like reputation and curation and evaluation and impact assessment and all these kinds of things. There's just so much potential here just in the project registry that is supportive of the goal of capital allocation and getting funding into builders. So there's a ton of potential here, and it was really fun to see all the like wild what directions that people took this prompt. This one was pretty hard to select a set of builders or winners for, and I'm really happy with the winners that we selected. There were quite a few others that I could have just as easily seen on this list. So that's my bet. I'll hand it over in case somebody else wants to add to that.
Well, third place prize goes to Margari, winning 2,000 ARB, and I'm going to go ahead and drop that project in the chat. But would love to hear why Margari and how that adds value to you.
Yeah, that one was it's about the cross-chain thinking, you know. Like I think people building in the space, you know, we know about L1 and L2 and L3 now, and you know that you got to bridge things and so forth. But you know, if we want to get like a billion users, like people aren't going to care. Like when you're using the internet, you don't think about like the 7 layers of protocols that are stacked underneath, you know, like with the TCP IP and IP4, you know, they're trying to move to IP6 and there's a big governance battle around that. And like people don't even know that, right? Like we use the internet every day. We don't care. So yeah, I think yeah, that's kind of where we got to get to. And Margari kind of addresses that by like thinking about this cross-chain interaction for grant programs.
Yeah, if I can add on to that, Joe, I'm curious to see how the wallet interactions will end up working with the cross-chain methodologies. Like, it's nice to see and interact with all these chains in one app, but you still have to deal with the wallet and the networks the wallet is on. So I'm curious to see how all these are going to play out myself. But I like this project also. Very dashboardy. I like the admin style features. It reminds me of like Allo Scan on steroids.
Awesome. All right. Well, congratulations to Margari. Up next, we have the second place winner, Solid Grant. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Let's go.
Hell yeah. Winning 3,000 ARB. And what can you all say about Solid Grant? I will go ahead and drop Solid Grant in the chat for those who want to check out the live demo in action. Someone said, how did they win number 3? Really good project. All right. So yeah.
So this one, I think we really liked the design. We really liked using Allo as for governance. That's a big use case that we see for Allo. But we put this one under this challenge because we really like the way that they were handling profiles and interacting with the project registry in particular. I can let 008 or Disruption Joe kind of add to that.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You know, this is like, it's in the category in my head of like the useful tool. Like the Margari was, you know, it could be useful and it's innovating and thinking of like a new way to interact. But this is kind of like a builder in the other contests where it's like, you know, whatever the package they put the tool into to show its usefulness, it's a useful tool that everybody can use today, right? And we need. Yep.
And also, shout out to Atenian. I'm gonna use their username, but definitely seen Atenian in a lot of our hackathons and just amazing projects all around. So very much congratulations. And first place winner, that one is coming up next. I'll get a drum roll in the chat. Oh, I love it. The chat is popping off right now. Shout out to everybody. Okay, so first place winner is going to go to Allo Alliance, unlocking Web3 grants Alliance. And I just
this is one of my favorites.
Yeah, this one was sick. Jax, let's why was it one of your favorites?
Well, I just see that KYC is a highly sought after like feature in a lot of flows, like user flows nowadays, especially with the transfer of funds and stuff like that. This was just a really neat concept using the Allo registry, and like I was really impressed with this project, and it was really easy to use. And it's just one little piece of the Lego project we need, but this is a very nice piece.
Yeah. Yeah, I like what you said there about like the Lego project. So many grants programs, most grants programs need to do KYC. And our hope with the project registry is that there, almost becomes like a ways of doing KYC that are easy for grants managers and easy for builders. Right now, every grants program has their own way of doing KYC, their own process for that. And so if you're a builder applying for a grant, you've got to go through every single KYC process for each grant you apply for. It can be like a huge pain in the ass. And so go ahead.
I was going to just say, like, and if they're using this registry, it's on chain. So now you can KYC in one place, Allo Alliance, and then everybody can use that attestation, so to speak, to say, oh yeah, they're KYC through them.
Yeah. The goal would be that like you could take your KYC with you as a project from grant application to application.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be huge.
People don't realize how big of a problem that is, because it's even like, in Arbitrum, we have this pluralistic grant framework, right? So Plurality Labs funded 12 different grant programs, including this hackathon is one of them, and we just think of it as another grant program. It's another way to put funds in the hands of people that make the ecosystem go forward. And if we have a builder in one program who gets a prize and then they win something or get awarded a grant from another program, like we have to go through the compliance process again. So that's even internal of like this thing. So yeah, huge props to this one.
Well, congratulations to all of the winners thus far, but now we're on to the third and final challenge, which is best novel funding distribution tool. This challenge had a total prize pool of 20,000 ARB, and I would love to hear from y'all on why this challenge was so important. I know we did spend a lot of time on Twitter Spaces in our other previous sessions discussing this particular challenge, but and I'd also love to hear like the experience of judging these projects, because I know this one was at the highest prize pool and it's very essential.
Yeah, this one, the judging war room was maybe the most contentious about this one, as you might imagine. Yeah, so there's a ton of grants programs. There's a ton of funding available to builders across a variety of ecosystems, including Arbitrum. But when we look at most of those programs, like a lot of them are run in Notion and a Google form and something like that. And so it's really hard to, there's not a lot of accountability. It's really hard to audit these. We don't have a lot of transparency, and we're using a technology that's fundamentally a ledger. And so it seems silly not to use that technology for the transparent distribution of this funding, like we do with other forms of capital allocation. There's also just so many different opportunities and options and ways of distributing that funding. The recent success of the OP retroactive public goods funding is like one great example. Retroactive has a ton of benefits. It's also like you think about the number of things that are possible, and yet the number of things that are being explored, it's like barely scratching the surface. And so the hope here was, in line with the long-term vision of this pluralistic grants framework, starting to really explore that design space and what's possible there, and doing that on Arbitrum, where there is just all this activity and all these builders and this incredible community of people working on growing the ecosystem. So we threw in a bunch of ideas into this challenge for things and like combinations of things that you can do, but I think even then we were really only like getting started or scratching the surface. And it was really cool to see just the number of amazing projects that came out of this particular challenge. There's probably like 10 or so challenges that were like full, like submissions that were full products ready to go, could be used by a grants program right now, which is really amazing and really impressive.
Yeah, and we gotta give a couple shout outs here too. One of them is to a project, Grant Ships, which stepped down because they had received a grant from another program in Arbitrum for this project, and really they joined in to have fun with y'all and build with y'all and get the Allo engineers to look at their product and like really give it that second look, because they're a startup project, and every set of eyes on it to help helps. And so I think we all voted them to win, but since they kind of it was like a questionable eligibility, they volunteered to back out, and I think that was a really cool thing of them to do. And we pretty much all had said this is by far the coolest project, but they kind of had a head start there too. So not to take anything away from the quality of their project, that like it really was an amazing thing. So if you wanted to see that one, it's grantships.fun, and you can see the rule book where they take they use competition and an evolutionary strategy to have the different grant programs compete against each other. So this is at like the meta allocation level of how do you let the community decide how much funding goes to each program, and then the programs then fund grants. So that's like a really, really ahead of its time tool that was amazing. The other shout out here is to like GMX on Arbitrum. Now, GMX is currently running a grants program that they're using the direct grants. They were partnering Gitcoin in building out their direct grants tool. So it's one of the first allocation strategies that Gitcoin focused itself on. And GMX was a partner for adopting that. And what a lot of people don't realize is the size of Arbitrum overall. And if you look at the top 15 protocols by revenue, 3 of them are Arbitrum. There's Arbitrum itself, and then there's GMX, and there's Camelot, another DeFi exchange. So like you look at any other chain and you don't see in the top 15 revenue generators in all of Web3, other protocols indexes building on that infrastructure. But for Arbitrum, there's 2 of them up there. And so they need to fund their communities. And this strategy, this thinking through, basically we're talking about if it's not one person, one vote, it's one token, one vote right now. Quadratic funding is the only thing that we know of that like gives us an option that's something in the middle. So all these strategies play with the variables. Either it's finding an option in the middle algorithmically like quadratic funding, or it's a unique combination of these other variables that you use in terms of saying like, is it proactive or retroactive funding? Right? Who gets to participate in making the decision? Who has a voice? How much? What's the mechanism for deciding who's an eligible recipient and how much? All those things go into this contest. So.
Well, and we linked both projects in the chat, but with that being said, going to announce the 3rd place prize winner. Let me make sure I copy and paste the link to the project. But 3rd place goes to DAO driven crowdfunding platform. And I love the visuals on this project, but would love to hear from y'all. I guess the process behind selecting this project as 3rd place, and why this project qualified.
Well, I think it's kind of a go-to one-stop shop for like creating like hosting a grant program in a way, and milestone-based funding is also something that is very much needed in my view, especially when it comes to QF, which people always complain about that it lacks accountability. So that's my take on it. That's why I liked it.
Yeah, +1s are right. I like the revocation addition to the milestone base, because we did like a sample of this a few months ago with some committee voting and milestone based payment stuff. And I don't think we did the revocation. We kind of just assumed everybody was going to be okay. But yeah, +1.
Well, that's a good insight. The revocation is a good insight. I didn't even see that in voting for this one. My vote on this one was I liked I think one of the major problems in grant programs right now is that they are one of the things that centralize DAOs, because the people who have access to be the judges or to give out the grants are generally the people like closest to the founders or builders or whatever. And even if they're not malicious and trying their best in an ecosystem like Arbitrum with 600,000 token holders, there's no way that I know all of them or that I have the same social distance between us, right? Like sometimes there's like 6 degrees between me and Kevin Baker, right? And then sometimes there's like 2 degrees, right? And for me to get my job done, I can only go to 2 degrees. So we need to build systems on chain that like let everybody participate and be involved. And so this kind of says, well, instead of us delegating authority for people to review and say whether or not this person got their milestone done, we're going to let, an arbitrary number or group of people as identified by X on-chain signal participate in the review. And when we hit a certain threshold, then it will pay out. I thought that was really cool how it gets rid of the single point of failure there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations.
All of that. The thing that I'll add is that I just love crowdfunding platforms. I think crowdfunding is a like fantastic use case for crypto and a fantastic use case for Allo. And I was excited to see milestone-based payments and the revocability and all of that. But I was just really excited that somebody actually built a crowdfunding platform. That was one of the things that was like explicitly listed in the challenge statement.
I love that we all saw something different in this one, and maybe it should have been higher than third.
Next time.
All right.
Me too.
Yes, and there will be next time. So we got second place coming right up. Like because we're like close to the end of announcing winners. I'm like I want to create the excitement, but here we go. And actually I really liked how this one looked. Second place prize goes to Spray, and Woo! very sick design. Loved it. Winner of 7,000 ARB. And I was just only browsing over these projects, but can any of y'all tell me about why this one was chosen for second place?
Yeah. So Spray does a really cool thing where they automate the payouts using a Hedgie token streaming contract. And Hedgie's token streaming has like blown up. And the reason is it's very simple to use and understand. Like if you go to like Hedgie's site and let's say you have people working for you and you're launching a project, they're going to need a vesting schedule, or you have investors or whatever it is. And they need a vesting or a lockup schedule, and you're doing a standard startup thing like a 1-year cliff and a 4-year vest. They let you put in all those options, and you just drop in the tokens to the contract, and then on chain it will enforce all the rest of it. So the person on the other side can claim. Another cool thing about that is with any claim contract is people can use it for like optimizing taxes and stuff. Like I'm going to claim after X date. So there's a lot of interesting benefits to that technology. But the cool thing here is they combine that to the payout strategy and say the winners will all get streamed their prize. So instead of like at the end of a QF round or a quadratic funding round on Gitcoin, everybody just getting paid out, instead they would get those funds streamed over time. And in my head, I see a world where you're continuing to do QF and assessing like the community's opinion on what's needed. And those projects have some level of continuous funding that's coming into them. And as there's a greater need in the world, they're getting larger and larger streams. And as there isn't a need, their stream dies down a bit, but there's not as much for them to do. the people in there can switch over to other work that is more needed.
That's a really interesting point, and like I guess you can also cut the funding, like if you catch them doing, like, I don't know, if they're fraudulent applications, or so it's cool.
Yeah, exactly. I loved the, I'll throw out that you can see a photo here. I love the UI. I love the like design of this. I thought that was really fun. One of the things that's really exciting about Allo is the way in which you can control and decide how it is you want to distribute payments. And so we listed Sablier in the challenge statement. I think we also listed the Hedgie is like gotten a ton of traction. Oh I think my microphone just changed. And let me know if you guys can still hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, being able to like experiment with how you distribute funding and giving people the option to do that is really cool, and I'm really glad that somebody took up the challenge to build that.
Amazing. And I love that the chat's going off about Windows 95 core. And
yeah. Yeah, this was one of my favorite projects too. I love that they added the Hedgie streaming in the background. Like that's a huge plus one. You don't see too many of that in the grants kind of project space. And this is more, to me, like more angel kind of investor grant motivated, where you have like specific like projects you're going to invest in, and they have either a token launch or a initial investor that's going to supply all these tokens up front to stream them. So that's how I see this being a little different approach.
Amazing. All right. Well, congratulations to Spray. And that leaves us with our final winner to be announced, winner of 10,000 ARB. Also, I do believe that for this particular challenge, that like on top of the award money, there's going to be a funding round of 10,000 through each of these winners. I mean, I'm reading this directly from the challenge, but that's correct, y'all, right?
Yeah, and we're still thinking through the exact logistics of that, but the idea was the top 3 funding strategies should be used. I think one of the biggest tragedies of the grants programs we're running all across Web3 today is that, they're singular, one-off events, and we don't necessarily provide a pathway, right? So if it's, more like entrepreneurial building things, they need a pathway to actually get their product used and have some iterative cycles where they can try to find product market fit. They need pathways to, find mentors and get legal advice and security audits. They need pathways from there, even if they get funding, then to find distribution and like who are going to be their first customers or clients. How are they going to have a business model? On the public good side, it's like you build infrastructure, but nobody else realizes that you built it. And, it could be doing all this good. It's like, you could picture like a visual of like a brand new highway being built, but nobody's been shown where the entrance is. So everybody's driving on this like 10-mile-per-hour dirt road next to a brand new, like nice highway because they don't know how to get on it, right? And that happens with a lot of these grant program and builds. So, we're up at 10,000 ARB through each of these 3 winners, and fund a round, and then if any of them seems successful, hopefully we can do multiple iterative rounds. That would be great.
Right. Well, with that being said, we're going to move on to the first place winner and the final project to announce, Conviction Voting App. And I absolutely it's too early for me to use multiple syllables. I absolutely loved the design of this project. Would love to hear from the team here about what did you love about Conviction Voting App?
Yeah,
Well,
I will jump in first. Oh, sorry, Joe. So I loved the UI. I loved that this was like the others, just like a complete product and kind of doing a full thing. And then I really loved the exploration of conviction voting. It's something we haven't actually explored internally within Gitcoin on Allo, but I think there's a conviction voting like quadratic funding is one of those things that we're just starting to explore and just starting to see the benefits of and the impact that it can have on community making decisions. And so I was just like really happy to see this come through and really excited to see somebody building this on Allo is just another way of using it to explore like a totally tangential like design space. So this team did a really great job. They built a ton. It's like really impressive to see what they built in the time that we gave y'all for this. And this is just like an incredible project to see. So really, really excited for this team. Joe, what was your take?
I thought that was Zirate that was going to start up. But I'll share and then pass it to Zirate. Conviction voting is a needed thing. I thought this represented, one of the goals that we had in this project. This application has been around in OneHive, and OneHive Gardens never really like took off the way like Tally did for DAOs, right? And became like the standard tool. And a lot of people who are like DAO governance nerds are like, why the fuck not? It's awesome. That's kind of what this tool was, or what this contest was made for, was like, let's get these really cool ideas onto Allo protocol so they share the same substrate and can be using like one of the things we're doing right now at Arbitrum is a decentralized review. So in a pluralist grant program, you need some different infrastructure to what you're doing, because you have problems like as a program provider, we're funding these different programs, and they might not know that this grant is like double dipping in 3 or 4 different places, which sometimes that's fine as long as they, are informing that they have that other grant. Sometimes it's more malicious in the way that they're just trying to see how much money they can get. And they basically think, oh, if the program's going to get duped, that's their problem, right? They're the sucker. And we have to work with both mentalities. So we need like different infrastructure. And right now we're doing a decentralized review with that infrastructure, which is letting the community review every single grant that's been given out by Arbitrum, whether it's in one of our programs or QuestBooks programs or direct from the DAO, whether they're incentive based, whether they're product market fit bets, like giving money to entrepreneurs, or DAO operational tooling, things like that. So I think this right here, it brings a great app onto that Allo substrate where we can share the data layer about the project between all of our different grant programs. It easily integrates then to our review system. And it's a very useful thing for any of those 500 protocols on Arbitrum to use along with us ourselves. And we're probably, I'm excited to do that follow-up round with this one. And then I'd love to see it grow. I was the 8th person on the Gitcoin team. And one thing that was really awesome was seeing like iterative cycles of learning and then putting a little bit more funding through it, learning, putting in more funding through it. So I'm excited to see that happen with this application. Derek?
Yeah, so I personally love gardens because I'm a bee, like buzz lol. But no, I'm joking. Like it spoiler, like so gardens kind of sprung out of OneHive, which is like it was the first DAO I joined. It's a public goods oriented DAO in the way that they release these types of products. So I've been using gardens and following them personally since 2021, and always try to shield it to Web3, but like it just looked like the project is, I don't know, it didn't gather the interest like the or attention that I thought it deserved. So it's really awesome to see them deploy on Arbitrum. And as Zach said, it's kind of a CV is conviction voting is kind of unexplored Web3 territory. So nobody knows how it can be used, but one of the ways is like you can basically use it to pay to, like, you can experiment to pay work streams with, in a way that you basically can stake your token on your colleague, and the other colleagues also do that if you like their work, and you can have a direct stream that's directly proportional to the amount of tokens that people stake on you. So, and the stream represents your salary, so you can do all kinds of interesting things. And like I understood that you can even change the parameters of how that works. So it's like, yeah, really great. And they have an amazing GUI, which is retro and nice.
Yeah, I like the whole conviction voting area of experimentation, and I think you'll see a lot more of that this coming year. I remember a few grant rounds back, we did a conviction voting experiment for sorting the grants, essentially. So I'm really curious to see how this stuff's going to play out in the market this year. I want to use some more conviction voting apps myself. And huge congratulations to all the participants, for sure.
Yeah, I know. Major.
I read a lot of code.
I know all you guys sure did. Awesome. Well, as a closing note, again, congratulations to all the winners. And for those who did, for all winning projects, you're going to hear from us regarding next steps. But I would love to have y'all join us on Twitter Spaces and hear from you guys personally about your projects and your journey as a builder. But I'll leave it to y'all here on this lowly Zoom call on this Thursday morning. Any final words or closing notes?
Huge thank you to everybody. We're going to be, like Annie said, you'll hear from us if you were one of the winners. You will probably also hear from us if you weren't listed on one of the slides here today. Like we said, judging was super competitive. There were just so many, and he walked through the numbers at the beginning. There were just so many amazing projects that were submitted as a part of this. And so even if you didn't win, there's a bunch of you who we want to follow up with and stay in touch with and talk about kind of next steps for you and your project. And so look out for an email from one of us about kind of what those next steps might be and how we can support you. As always with hackathons, I really hope that some of you will pursue this project and continue working on it, whether you won a challenge or not. Like, so many of these projects were really amazing. All of you did a really great job with the projects that you submitted. And so I hope that you'll continue. This is a huge opportunity, huge market, which is why we seeded these challenges. And there's still just like a ton of potential here. And so I hope all of y'all who submitted a project in the end will continue to pursue this work. And if there are ways that we can help you to do that, please let us know.
Thank you. It's been great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and Annie's got a flight to catch.
Oh, you're right. I know it takes off in 90 minutes. So, but that aside,
Annie,
also,
what are you doing?
I know I was on mute, getting my bags together, but that aside, and also shout out to Allo Protocol and Arbitrum teams for organizing this hackathon. And I mean, Jonas and I were talking about this separately, but I think this is the most engaged we've seen when it comes to judging projects. And I know that you guys took a lot of time and consideration into selecting these winners. And yeah, kudos to you guys, because I know it was tough. There were a lot of great projects that were submitted in this one. And also kudos to all the builders who participated, and really, really excited to see how these projects develop. And happy Thursday. I got to get on this flight.
Cool. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I'll see y'all soon.